Thank you very much, Senator Blumenthal. General Langley, let me ask a few more questions here as we hopefully recess. Africa is a mineral-rich, resource-rich continent. Is that correct?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, and you can leave the microphone on. Which are there success stories for the citizens of African countries when these larger, more prosperous nations or companies from more prosperous areas come in and exploit these minerals? What I'm asking is, does it ever...
What if I told you there is a U.S. military command operating across Africa, building bases, training soldiers, launching drone strikes, and most people have never heard of it? It's called AFRICOM, and it's been quietly expanding its presence since 2007. And if you ask what's the purpose of AFRICOM's presence in Africa, the official story will tell you AFRICOM is in Africa to bring peace and security. But what if the truth is the exact opposite? Let's break it down. So, what's really going on with AFRICOM in Africa? Most people don't even know that US has a military command dedicated just to Africa. It's called AFRICOM, and it's been operating since 2007, and it's been expanding quietly across the continent. Now, the official story is that AFRICOM is here to help African countries fight terrorism and quote-unquote build security. Now, that sounds good in theory, right? But when we take a closer look, the results don't match the mission. The reality is, wherever AFRICOM shows up, instability often follows. And that's a fact based on our own observations. Let's take Libya, for example. Before US and NATO forces got involved, it was one of Africa's most stable countries. Now, Libya is in chaos. Rival militias, a hub for slave markets and human trafficking. The country has become a hotspot for violence and chaos. In the Sahel region, many US-trained officers have led military takeover. And in Somalia, drone strikes meant to target militants have also hit civilians with almost no public accountability. At the same time, the US has built dozens of military camps across Africa, many of them quietly without transparency. And if you ask why, some people will say it's about fighting terrorism. But let's be honest here. We all know Africa is rich in oil, gold, cobalt, and other strategic resources. And history tells us that wherever there is wealth, power follows.
Thank you very much, Senator Blumenthal. General Langley, let me ask a few more questions here as we hopefully recess. Africa is a mineral-rich, resource-rich continent. Is that correct?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, and you can leave the microphone on. Which are there success stories for the citizens of African countries when these larger, more prosperous nations or companies from more prosperous areas come in and exploit these minerals? What I'm asking is, does it ever... so is there any exception? Can you point to any success story where the people of one country or one or two countries have actually benefited substantially.
Not on China's behalf.
Okay.
Not on China's behalf. Just what happened in Zambia when they had the spillage into the river that services 5 million people. There's just these mining concessions. It just doesn't turn out real well for the African countries.
And do the countries that are receiving entreaties from the Belt and Road Initiative, are they more and more mindful of that now and therefore reluctant?
Yes, and that's where we need to be able to do information operations to illuminate some of the irregularities and some of the malign type activities of the Chinese in African countries.
Information and narratives are power then, aren't they?
Absolutely. And as I said a few minutes ago, and I always will tout this, that we own the facts. We own the facts. We know exactly what the Chinese Communist Party is doing, and to some degree what the Russian Federation is doing in their propaganda operations. But we don't own the narrative. Both of them own the narrative.
We sure don't. One more thing for you, General Langley. The approach that we have had with USAID and the other things like the President's Initiative on AIDS, how does our U.S. approach compare and contrast to the approach of Russia in Africa and also Communist China in Africa?
Oh, Chairman, we've always had the lead. So what you're seeing in those two competitors or challengers, they're following in our wake. They see what works as far as our influence and deepening partnerships through those soft powers, whether it be health diplomacy or whether it be in development type programs. So they're following in our wake, trying to replicate what we do best. And I think the African countries know this, and so this is where, as we start to look at going forward, as State Department starts to reset these programs, looking at what worked and what didn't work, and doubling down on what does work. I think we have enough capital built up in these countries for them to ensure their stabilization and also prosperity. The other two competitors are just trying to replicate what we do best.
I can imagine a situation, though, in which the ruling elite of a country is receiving gratuities on the side that inure to the benefit of the strongman leader and not to the populace of the country. Does that sort of corruption and bribery go on with regard to the Belt and Road?
Absolutely, Chairman. I see this, and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Tory and Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime. There's a number of examples across. Even in Sudan, what's going on with the rapid support forces and Burhan of the Sudan forces, when you get down to it, is all about the revenue that can be drawn out of that. And there are nefarious actors in the CCP or in sometimes Russia are complicit in those activities.
Okay, well, you can't imagine how frustrating it seems to me that this mineral-rich continent has not been able to move to a utilization of the resources to benefit the people there. After all this time, it's a puzzle that we haven't unwound up. Let me see if I can move to.
AFRICOM claims it's all about quote-unquote partnership, but we see it for what it is: This is a new form of foreign control disguised as support. This is neocolonialism in its purest form. It's obvious and we see right through it. And so let's discuss some of the reasons why AFRICOM is a bad deal for the African continent. Reason number one, AFRICOM undermines sovereignty. Instead of helping countries build independent strength, it creates long-term dependence on the US military. Reason number two, it spreads instability. There is a pattern. US-backed training and interventions linked to military takeover and rising violence. Reason number three, it serves US interests, not African futures. Let's be real. These bases aren't just about security. They are about positioning and resources. Reason number four, there is almost no accountability. Drone strikes and operations happen in secret. Local voices often left out of the conversation. And reason number five, AFRICOM weakens African unity. Now that we've called out the problem, let's discuss some real practical solutions that can be implemented to move the African continent forward. So, what can Africa do instead? Well, if foreign military presence is making things worse, then the answer is not to fix it. It's to get rid of it. Plain and simple. Here is what a real African-led solution looks like. Solution number one, Africa should build its own continental defense force system. Africa doesn't need to rely on outside armies. We have the people, we have the knowledge and the history to protect ourselves. Through the African Union, we can build a united security force that actually serves African interests. Solution number two, no foreign military bases on African soil. There is no good reason for foreign powers to have military bases in Africa. They don't bring peace, they bring control, and I think it's time to shut that door completely. Solution number three, strengthen local security from the ground up. The best protection doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. Let the people who know the land and the culture lead the way. Solution number four, focus on education and economic growth. You want to stop conflict? Start by giving people opportunities, better schools, better jobs, and better infrastructure. A strong economy is one of the best defenses against chaos. Solution number five, let's build strong regional partnerships. Africa should be working with Africa. We don't need to go outside for security help. We can build powerful alliances between regions that respect each other and work together on our terms. Solution number six, we have to demand transparency from our leaders. Too many deals have been made behind closed doors. The people deserve to know what is happening in their own countries, especially when it comes to foreign armies being stationed there. No more secrecy and no more silence. And finally, the bottom line. Africa doesn't need a foreign military to tell it what to do. We need to take back control, unite, and build our own future. No more foreign bases, no more outside interference, just Africa standing strong and united. AFRICOM says it's here to help. But 17 years in, the region is more unstable than ever. So we have to ask, if this is really about security, then why does every region AFRICOM touches keep falling deeper into conflict? Africa doesn't need another overseer. The continent needs space to grow, to unite, and to protect itself on its own terms. Guys, thank you for watching. Like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm out.